In this lesson, I'm going to take you through reusable elements. Reusable elements are a special type of element that lets you create sort of a template for yourself so that you don't have to keep rebuilding the same thing over and over and over again if you need it to appear on multiple pages or even multiple times in a single page and have it do the exact same thing. This is kind of like creating a global type of element so that you can edit and design it once, and then everywhere else you use it, it'll have the exact same changes applied. So where's an example of this? Well, in most apps, you'll have some kind of a header or a menu at the top of your page. I'm going to go ahead and create one right now without using the reusable element system so that you can see where the problem occurs, and then we'll solve that problem by turning it into a reusable element. So I'm going to use a group container first by adding this to the top of my page. This is going to serve as my header and also the place where my menu will sit. I'm going to give this a color. We'll do just kind of a blue like that. And I have the name of the page here because I'm going to show you what happens when you have a reusable and when you don't have a reusable across two different pages. And the reusable element really becomes very powerful when you need something to look and behave the exact same way on multiple pages. So here we're on the index page. I've labeled it home page there. Now, let's say I have some menu items. Menu item 1, and we'll do 3 of these. 2 and 3. Okay. So here is my header. Obviously, if I want to make this a lot nicer, I would have other things happening and I would program things to happen from these buttons. But here's an example of some elements, and I'm going to refer to this element as one unit. So this element is going to be the group plus the buttons, right? So my header element, we'll call it. I want this to show up on every single page in my application. So without a reusable element, what you would need to do is right-click this group, copy it with the workflows at the very least so that you can transfer everything you've programmed for each of these buttons over to another page and you don't have to reprogram them the exact same way. So if I go over to my search page, and here I have my other label for search, and then I right-click on the page and paste with workflows, and it looks like this page is actually a different width. Let me change this back to the centered width that the other one was on just to make things easy. So I have 2 separate group elements, 2 separate header elements that I've built out on 2 different pages. Okay, now I'm going to have 2 tabs open of my editor, one on the search page and the other on my index page, right? Yes, so here's search, here's index. So I have the group here on index and the group on search. Now let's say I want to add another button. Here on the search page, I've added another menu item. Okay, and this is menu item 4. So search now has 4 buttons, but the index still only has 3 because these are completely separate, independent elements. Yes, I copied and pasted them, but they're not connected to each other in any way. You have to maintain them completely separately. This becomes a really tedious task, an element to manage if you have this on many pages. If you have, dozens of pages in your application and you have this menu where everything is independent, and let's say suddenly you decide you need another menu option, or suddenly you decide to change the design, the colors need to be different, or the workflows need to work differently. You're going to have to go into every single page and update those independently, and that's going to take forever. This is where the reusable element becomes really, really helpful. You build this once and you add instances of that reusable element to all of your pages, and it'll be pulled from the exact same thing. I'm going to show you what I mean here. So this group, I'm going to right-click the group and convert it into a reusable element. Now, when you build reusable elements, you don't always have to do it this way, where you build something out from scratch, flat on the page, and then convert it. You can also go into your page list dropdown and click Add a new reusable element. And I'm just going to do test element here so you can see what I mean, and create. And you'll be taken to a blank design area to build your reusable element from there. I find it a lot easier, I'm going to delete this right now, to actually build it on a page, because you're going to see how it fits in context with the page first. I think it's a lot easier to do it that way. I just wanted to show you the different options you have for creating these, and then converting it into a reusable element. So when I click convert, I'm going to name this new header. Create. And now I'm taken to the editor area for the reusable element. Notice that a new item has been added to my page list dropdown. We have my regular pages, but then we have our list of reusable elements. These other three that we see here, the footer, header, and sign up login, Bubble has actually provided some sample reusable elements for you to start out with. Every new Bubble app will get these. You can delete them if you're not going to use them, or you can edit them if you want. But Bubble has provided these as a way for you to kind of get started. Here's the one that I just created called new header. Now, why is this listed here under this page list? Well, reusable elements are meant to be a global element where they're not tied to any specific page. In fact, they act as independent pages on their own. They're not necessarily separate pages. You can't go to, yourapp.com/new header. It doesn't work like that, but behaviorally, they are independent and they're kind of seen as their own pages. So adding them to a page is kind of like putting a page within a page. So I'm going to go back to my index. So here you can see that I'm in the editor for this reusable element only. I don't have anything else happening. I don't have other page things going on. This is just the group. If I go back to my index page, I'm going to delete the original thing I created because this is not the reusable element still. It's just the original. I'm going to remove that. And let's see, okay. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my elements list. And here you can see all of your reusable elements that you can add to your page. Okay, so it's kind of a hybrid between a visual element and a page. So I'm going to select new header and just click on my page and it'll be added automatically. And see what happens is, oh, it did it twice. So here I have my entire element as one unit. And regardless of whether it started as a group or maybe even a button, you can do reusable elements as single elements too. I could have a reusable button if I wanted. But regardless of what it is, it'll get added kind of like an embedded element on the page. And when I click on it, you can see that I can't actually edit the buttons directly here. I actually have to open up that element if I click on this, and it'll take me to this section here for the reusable element itself. All right. So back to my index page, here's the reusable element I've added. Now, if I go over to my search page in my other tab here, this still has the other custom independent element. I'm going to delete that. And now I'm going to add the reusable element to this page as well. So new header, add this there. All right, so here's the index page, reusable element. Here's the search page, reusable element. Now look what happens when I go to edit the reusable element. I'm going to add some text here. Welcome to my app. I'll make this white so that we can actually see it. All right, so now if I go back to my index, or I guess this one was on index already. This is on index, and then this one is going to be on search. See how they both have the text now? Because I've edited the element, and it's going to reflect on all pages that the element is on because it is one element. These are all referencing one element. The way I like to refer to the different additions on the separate pages is I like to refer to them as instances. So I have an instance of the reusable element on the search page, and I have another instance on the index page. I'm going to go over to the preview so you can actually see this here. Here's the index. I'm going to duplicate this and go to the search page. Right, so search, index. Now, if I'm going to close this here and go back to the reusable element, and we'll change the text. I'm changing the text now. Okay, so we'll refresh the index. There's a check that the text has been updated, and on my search page, the text has also been updated. So I only have to change this and edit this once. This is where it becomes very powerful and a huge time saver. Another benefit of having the reusable element is triggering workflows that need to happen on every single page, but should be triggered by something happening in the background and not necessarily something that the user clicks a button to do. An example of this is checking to see if the user is logged in or logged out. And if they're logged out, maybe moving them to a different page. Instead of adding that workflow to every single one of your pages, which could get very tedious if you have lots of pages, you could do it instead in some reusable element that will exist on all of the pages anyway. So with our header, I'm going to go to the workflow area of our new header, our header reusable element, and add an event here for when the user is logged out. So anytime the user is logged out, we're going to take the user to some other page, let's say the dashboard page. Or actually, let's do login, since that makes more sense. When the user's logged in, we're going to navigate the user to the dashboard page. Okay, that way, any pages that contain the reusable element, it will perform this check automatically. You do not have to add this workflow to all of the individual pages. It saves you a little bit of time, especially if you have a lot of pages. And if you ever need to adjust it, you adjust it in one place only. Right, so if I refresh my page and I'm currently on the home page, I should be logged in. It's going to take me, see how it redirected me to dashboard. I don't have anything on that page right now, but I can see in the URL that I am on that page. If I refresh search, because the reusable element is there, it's going to behave the exact same way. It's going to recognize that I'm logged in, and it's going to move me to that other page. Now, for a slightly more advanced piece of functionality here that I do want to point out, because reusable elements are not tied to any specific page in your application, you have to do a little bit more work to communicate between reusable elements and the pages that they're on. If there's ever anything that lives on a page and not in a reusable element, and you need to pass that information to the reusable element, there are a few ways to do that. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the lesson about custom states and custom events. It's the only thing that really links the reusable element to the page that it's on is through custom states and custom events. Watch out for that lesson, because I'll talk about this in much more detail there after we learn a little bit more about workflows overall and saving dynamic values to your database.